بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back at another book review, and this time we will discuss a small book, but I think it's an important book. I bought it at the Cairo Book Fair just this January, and it's a book about terminology. Terminology related to specific disciplines. Now, before I go into the book, it's important to note that for any student of knowledge, it's very important, and it's very how would you say it? It's necessary. It's very necessary that he or she knows that words have different meanings in two senses. One, there's the lexical meaning or the linguistical meaning, which you can find in a normal dictionary, right? And next to it, we have the technical meaning or terminological meaning regarding the discipline in which this word appears. From the outset, of course, assuming that you are reading a book or text, right? So you have to make that distinction. So words, they have these two layers of meaning. Now, the lexical meaning, it can be the same as the technical meaning, but in many cases, this is not the case. And sometimes they differ, sometimes they overlap. That's one. Then, what's also important to realize that the same words have different meanings in different disciplines. So keep these two things in mind before you start reading any book. So you might be reading and studying a text on your own. You come across words and you will look them up in dictionaries like Al-Mawrid or Hans Ware or any other dictionary you use, whether that is from Arabic, English, or any other language, or Arabic even. That's one, but you also have to be aware of the fact that you will probably need to, how would you say this? You probably need to look up that word in a specific technical dictionary or mu'jam, a mu'jam with istilah or with mustalahat, terminologies as we call them in Arabic. That is very important. Now, then I turn to the book I bought at the Cairo Book Fair this January. It's this book here, and I hope it's clear in the camera. And on the back, we see the English translation. And as you can see, this is a pocket book. You know, it's not a big book. It's a pocket size. It's about, let me see how many pages there are here. Arabic, it says 173 pages in Arabic. Then at the back there is an English section, and this is the translation of the introduction by the author. And we'll read from that introduction. But first, something about the book. So the book is called في المصطلح al-Kalami al-Sufi. في المصطلح al-Kalami al-Sufi by Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib حفظه الله. He's Sheikh al-Azhar al-Sharif, right? And he is Ra'is Majlis Hukama al-Muslimin. Now I'm going to translate this to English for those who don't understand the Arabic. Now, so this book, it was published by the Muslim Council of Elders. Majlis Hukama al-Muslimin in Egypt. And the author is Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib. He is the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, the Azhar University in Cairo, and he is the chairman of the Muslim Council of Elders. Now, this Muslim Council of Elders, they have some very beneficial and some very good publications, and they're available at bookshops in Cairo, of course, but a very good place to obtain those books is to actually visit the Cairo Book Fair, which takes place every year. And I brought a couple of their publications with me, and they're very affordable as well. Now, what some people might not know is that Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib, he's an author as well. He's a sheikh, he's an Azhari trained scholar, and he has got several titles on his name. Now, this little work here, we could translate it as on theological and Sufi terminology. So Mustalah is terminology, Mustalahat is terminologies, so it's a plural, right? And we also say istilah, very similar word. Now, this particular publication, when was this brought out? Let me see, let me check if there is some date. Here, yeah, this has been written in 2019. And as said, the author, he's got more works on his name. And the book was published for the first time in 2019. So it's the year after the author, on the same year as the author wrote the book, actually. And it's a very nice booklet. So it speaks about theological or Kalami terminologies, and about some Sufi terminologies or terminologies which are common in the science of Tasawwuf. And then you have to think about the following terminologies. And let me see how many terminologies there are. They're not many. There's like, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 27 specific Kalami and Sufi terminologies. And a few examples of these are, for example, this is very nice actually. There's one little chapter on Adab al-Bahth wal-Munadhara, for example. Then we have one chapter on Tawheed, unicity. Then we have, for example, a chapter on al-Ilham, inspiration, right? And then we have, for example, a chapter on al-Jalal wal-Jamal. And then we have, for example, a chapter on al-Haqiqatul Muhammadiyya, the Muhammadan reality. Chapter on Khawf, on Dhikr, and so forth. And the last chapter is about al-Wajd, ecstasy. You could say that means ecstasy. Now, these are some of those terminologies in this book here. It's not a big book, and it's very nice and concise. The paper is cream colored, so it's also pleasant for the eye. And then we turn to the introduction by the author in English. And these are just a few pages, and I will share them with you. I will read from them because it will give you a little bit more content of what this booklet is about. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad and upon his family and companions. Into the hand of the honorable reader, I put this booklet that combines some theological and Sufi terminology. It is written upon the request of my respectable mentor, Professor Dr. Mahmoud Hamdi Zakzouk, former Minister of Religious Endowment as he had asked me to participate in editing some of the terminology of the Encyclopedia of Islamic Philosophy issued in 2001 and the Encyclopedia of Islamic Sufism issued in 2009. Both works had their positions next to the great scientific achievements, including book writing, editing legacy books, and compiling bibliographies and encyclopedias issued by the Ministry of Religious Endowment and the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs during Professor Zakzouk's term in office from January 1996 to January 2011. At that time, the method adopted was to handle the terminology in this general Islamic encyclopedia in a scientific manner, with a concise summary that meets the needs of the readers of various disciplines and, meanwhile, pave the way to more knowledge in this field for those who want to go deeper. The combination of these two requirements in the editing of terms is difficult as the compiler has to widely read in the etymology, history, and development of the terms. In addition, such knowledge will then need to be summarized in a limited space and concise volumes. The compiler, or the compiler it should be actually, this is a little typo here, may have to sacrifice some information and be content with other for the sake of being concise in this encyclopedia. Such encyclopedia is meant to be a general introduction to other independent encyclopedias and specialized ones on the terminology of theology, the Quran and its disciplines, as well as the biography and the traditions of Prophet Muhammad, the Sunnah, Islamic legislation, and many other fields of Islamic thought in about 15 different areas. When my colleagues at the Office of the Revival of the Islamic Heritage at Al-Azhar, Sheikhdom, showed interest at the Mashyakhat, right, Sheikhdom, showed interest in collecting the terminology I had written at that time and published them in a separate booklet, I thought that these terms should be rehandled in a more comprehensive and complete way. Thus, Al-Azhar students specialized in Islamic philosophy and theology would fully benefit from it. However, my frequent preoccupations have not allowed me enough time to bring this idea into light. Now I'm presenting this terminology booklet in the form in which it appeared 18 years ago. So, although it was published in 2019, the Sheikh already wrote it 18 years back, which is 2001. I pray to Allah the Almighty to help me achieve what I hope for this booklet in the next edition soon, by His permission. My sincere thanks go to all my colleagues, the researchers at the Office of the Revival of Islamic Heritage affiliated to Al-Azhar Sheikhdom. To please Almighty Allah is our ultimate purpose. Praise first and foremost is due to Him alone. Ahmad al-Tayyib, Grand Imam of Al-Azhar al-Sharif and Chairman of the Muslim Council of Elders. Yes, so this is the introduction by the author. So, just a few takeaways from this. And I hinted to this. So, for each and every science we know, in Islam there are specific or separate, booklets like these, right? Dictionaries like these with terminological or technical vocabulary related to that science or specific for that science. And this is just one of those contributions. What I've done, for example, for those of you who have my book, Principles of Islamic Studies, what I've done, I've tried to provide at the end of each chapter a technical dictionary, a title of a technical dictionary, because it's important to have these dictionaries in your library when you are studying a particular science. With this, I would like to end this short book review, and also it's a way of conveying from what I've learned and heard from my teachers and what I've found in my own studies, to share this with you so you can benefit from it. Jazakumullahu khaira for your time, and if there's anything, if there's any question, or you want to give me a like, click on the thumb up, and thank you very much. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت استغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.